So I got this Maxxum 125 in here with some four-wheel drive issues. The customer noticed that, well, it's been a while, but the front-wheel drive just didn't have any jam. It would seem like it would move every once in a while, but not very much. So I tried engaging it and disengaging it on the road when I was turning, which is usually a pretty good indication. You'll be able to feel it jerk if it's working properly. But I could hardly feel anything when I engaged the four-wheel drive. So I removed the MFWD drive shaft and the hanger bearing there, and I inspected the couplers, and the splines seem all right. There's some wear on it because this tractor's fairly high houred. So I drained the hydraulic oil out of the drop box, and I'm waiting for most of the oil to come out before I pull that drop box off there. And then I don't know if you call it a drop box. I guess it's just a cover, rear transmission cover or something like that. So yeah, I'm gonna let her drain and take her off. Getting her lowered down now, hopefully without dropping it. Alright, so I pulled that cover off, and I pulled the MFWD cover off of the plastic cover that bolts on over top of there. And already I can see some of the issue here. The looks like the tangs are broken off on the separator plates, on several of them anyway. I can see some broken off bits in there, and the tangs that you can see, one's really short and the other one's fairly long because they're worn and broken off. So that's definitely the issue. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the snap ring out of there, out of the output shaft, and I think there's a little puller I'm going to have to make to pull the shaft out of the four-wheel drive clutch. And then a little oil line I got to pull out. And the clutch should be coming off, and we'll have a look at the carnage inside there. So I cleaned out a bunch of the dirt there. And I'm going to pull this snap ring off here so that I can pull that output shaft out. So I was having a little bit of trouble getting that coupler out of the output of the transmission there, so I'm going to make this and put this little tool back together. This is a pretty handy little feller. It threads into the end of your vice grips, so then you can clamp onto whatever and just slide hammer it out. So that's what I'm going to try to do here. So here we are. I'm going to get her out. Looks like she's coming. Kind of. And she slipped off, but we're most of the way out. And a bit more finagling. We got her out. Fought me every step of the way, but she's good to go. So now when we look in there, we see the shaft. And yeah. Next thing I gotta do is take out the snap ring inside of that's holding that bearing there. So I'm gonna pull that out here with my 90-degree snap ring pliers. Let's pull that unit out of there. So since I need to make a puller to pull that shaft out of the clutch, I found a bolt, my bolt bin that threads into the end of the shaft because there's already threads in there. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to weld it to this little tube here. That's a tube from a IVT transmission on an 8R Deere. I've used these little tubes before for this exact thing. So this tool for the that threads into the vice grips, I thread this tube to fit this. So that way I have like an attachment for my slide hammer. And I'll weld that to there, and then I'll put my slide hammer on this and this and there, and then I can just pull that right out. So I just get my tap, lube it up, and drive some threads into this thing. Got some threads built in this thing. I'm gonna take it over to take the welder over here and weld that nut or this bolt on the end of this tube, and then we'll be ready to pull that shaft out. So I've got the tool all threaded in there to the slide hammer. I've got the four-wheel drive clutch supported, so hopefully it doesn't fall off on me. And I'm gonna pull the shaft out. Get this off for a second. Are you getting my... Okay. There it is. Big reveal. So here's our four-wheel drive clutch in all its glory. Pretty mangled by the looks of it. But I'll show you some more once we get her apart. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to hold this down because it's clutch is applied by spring pressure, and it's hydraulically released. So I'm gonna have to push down on this while I loosen this nut. I've already unstaked it, which it wasn't staked well to start with, so either Case didn't do a very good job or somebody else has been in here before, which I think somebody else has been in here before. So I'm gonna give that a try. Hopefully I can get her off because I don't have the actual spanner nut for it, but we're gonna make it work probably. All right, so I've got it supported here in the press, in my fancy, awesome press with it's got the good style handle on that. My half-inch extension. I could probably buy a press someday, we'll see. It works. So I've got it supported. I'm gonna loosen this nut off with a drift and a hammer because, yeah, I don't have the spanner nut tool, so yeah, we're gonna make it work. After a whole bunch of hammering, I got the spanner nut off, which looks like that. So I'm gonna replace that anyway, so it doesn't really matter that I bunged it all up with a hammer. And I'll probably see if I can find something or build something to put the new spanner nut back on. So that's holding these bevel springs here. That's what I'm pressing down on. So when I release that, it's gonna release the spring pressure off the clutch. All right, got that off of there. Spring's loose. And it's off. Next, I'm gonna remove this snap ring, which looks like it wants to come out anyway. I don't know what's going on here, but yeah, that's not how it's supposed to be at all. Next, I'm removing this washer here, which is broken. Getting some sweet camera angles over there, eh? Oof. Maybe I should just do this with the camera in my hand. And it's off. So that's bent. So now I'm gonna remove this driven gear here without the camera because I can't do it like that, I guess. I'm convincing with a hammer I was able to get the driven gear off. that leaves us with clutch pack here, and that doesn't look great. So we'll probably have to change that as well. That's all scored so bad, so it's gonna leak by. And then we'll be right back where we started. But I suppose our next thing is I'm gonna take this snap ring off here and have a look at the clutch pack, even though I can already see it's completely dickered. So I just pull the snap ring off. Here's our clutch pack. So I'm gonna lay it out here and we'll take a good look at her and see what else we need to order for parts. So we got her laid out here, and I can tell for 100% it's the absolute worst clutch pack I've ever seen. And I feel like it's been a long ass time since this thing has actually put any traction to the ground, or even grabbed at all. I'd be surprised. But you can see the friction material is burnt right off of that one. Well, there's some on the other side, I guess. But the bigger problem is these tangs are broken. Like, completely off on most of these. Even though there's some traction material, but doesn't really help when you can't lock it up. So I'm going to talk to the customer, and we're probably going to order some parts. So hoping to be able to save this hub or this driven gear, but it's scored up enough. I don't think we're going to be able to do that either. So one other thing I checked here is this is the four-wheel drive solenoid. It's just a 2-wire solenoid, plug like that, and it's got a little valve in there, so it'll either dump the oil for the four-wheel drive to engage it, or it will supply pressurized oil to the MFWD clutch to disengage it. So I pulled it out, just checked it over. I put power and ground to the solenoid to make sure that the spool is moving freely. It's got a couple score marks in it, but I think it'll be okay. It might leak by. It's possible it'll leak by, so I'll have to see. I'll price it out. You can see some scoring on there, which isn't ideal. But I'll price that out, I guess. I have to talk with the customer about that. But honestly, that tractor's got like 8,600 hours on it, and it's been in manure piles and all that kind of loader work and four-wheel drive work for a long time, and it's a wonder the clutch lasted this long.